annoyed about people being late. Okay, so there's like half the class there that just strolled in late. Please make an effort to get here on time. It's not far for you to walk. And yes, we've finished the course, but what I really want to point out today is let's not become complacent, because we still got quite a lot of work to do in regards to preparation for the exam. So I'm going to describe, from now on, you might think this is where the complacency sort of, I've got 9 weeks, or just under 9 weeks, all right? 62 sleeps until the exam. I've got heaps of time. No, let's not think about it like that at all. We're just going to do a little bit every day, all right? It's a marathon, isn't it? We're just going to slow and steady, and that's going to put us in the best stead to perform in the exam. So remember, right at the start of the year, I said to you, right, there's a good way to set goals, okay, is to think about what's the worst way your life could be in 5 years' time. Okay, you can do the same for the exam 9 weeks from now. What's the worst result that could possibly happen? And it would be if you did no study whatsoever and rocked up and sat the exam. Okay, so every night from now until the 62 nights that come up to the exam, you have the opportunity to study, to take you further and further towards closer and closer to the future that you desire. All right, so that's what we're doing. We've got a goal. So just quickly, I want to reflect on how the course has changed over the past few years. So from 2003 to 2016, the course was called Maths Studies. And although there's significant overlap, there are some minor differences. Okay, so we do have those resources for you, but there are some parts of it that aren't relevant. Okay, and there are some parts of it that are missing from what it is that we do as well. Okay, so in 2017 they changed the course to Maths Methods, and they had a 3-hour exam, all right? And then in 2020 it changed to a 2-hour exam, and so the exam you will sit is 2-hour exam, but the content is still the same. So from 2017 onwards, all of those resources are relevant for us. Okay, the course has not changed in that period. So here's my plan, all right? We're going to read through it. This is my plan for the next few weeks here, and it's very important that you do attend, because we are going to be covering a lot of stuff and talking about lots of tips and really going over the things we've talked about. So to start with, today we're discussing the plan. Okay, this is the plan. Our opening part is to discuss it, talk through it, and talk about some strategies. Then I've got for you the 2018 exam. That's my favourite exam. But what I've got for you, it's a bit of a scare tactic really, all right? I want to give it to you and I want you to do it open book, try to do as much as you can, and for you to go, crap, I've got a lot of work to do, all right? That's a good point. So slap in the face, we've got 62 days, 62 sleeps, but we've got to make sure we're using our time effectively. So we're just going to do as much of it as we can in the second part of this lesson, all right? And hopefully it is a bit of a wake up, we've got work. All right, so that's the plan for today. And then what we're going to do over the next 2 weeks is you'll notice we're recapping all of the textbook. All right, so I've got a resource where I've printed off the notes, I've synthesized them down into a single booklet. That's this one here. All right, so it's chapters 1 through to chapter 9. It's got all of the stuff in it, all right, and it's got questions for us to reflect on as well. So each lesson I'm going to be doing about half an hour of teaching, half an hour to 40 minutes of teaching. So tomorrow we'll go over chapter 2, all right, differential calculus. Then on Friday we'll go over chapter 3, applications of calculus. We spend a whole lesson recovering those concepts just to get those cogs sort of turning over again. So you can see we've got chapter 1, 3, 7, 4 and 5, chapter 8 and 9, and then that takes us through to Tuesday of week 10. Got a class party, got a fun activity planned, and then on the Wednesday and Friday we've got some selected questions that we'll go through. So in the holidays, they're the tutes, all right, so they're scheduled in. That timetable will be released to you shortly. So in the first week, the tutorial, we'll go through the questions you haven't answered in the 2018 exam, all right. Then in the second week, you have the option of coming in, asking some questions, or if people want, we can go through another exam. I'll print it off and we can just go through an exam. And what's useful about that is I can explain sort of how my mind's working, what I'm thinking about as we're going through trying to solve some of these problems. Okay, so that's the tutes. The trial exam, 17th of October, Monday in the first week. Now the trial exam will be last year's exam. It's the 2021 SACE exam. So I'm not putting that on the Google Drive. You could, if you wanted to, you could access it on the SACE website, but I'm saying don't look at it, okay? Don't look at that. Treat it as a trial exam, and so that's the one that we'll mark. And then in week 2, we'll go over that. We've got some final sort of tips, and we've got our last lesson will be on the Wednesday, because Friday is your sort of breakfast and that, or maybe that's on the Thursday. Anyway, we don't have the lesson Friday. Week 3 is swap vac. So our classes will be on, but optional. All right, so you can come in. I recommend that you come along. I'll be here, cranking plenty of maths. And then that takes us to the 7th of November to the exam. So just what we're going to be doing in class. So I do expect you to come, right? You still expected to be here for this time period. And it's my expectation you're here. I know you've got like other assignments to do and stuff, but for this time period that you're here in this class, we're just doing maths. Okay, so we're not doing our biology assignment or whatever it is. I'm not really fussed what you do at home for these couple of weeks. All right, I understand you do have other stuff due, but when we're here, we're doing maths. All right, so it's important to make an effort to get here so you can dedicate that time so you're at least doing a bit of maths. In coming weeks, we will talk about more exam strategies, but for now, I just want to talk about the plan and so forth. Okay, so let's have a look at the resources we've got there then. The first one is your revision guide. So you were invited to purchase one of those, and hopefully you've received it. You've got a Hazy subscription to Snowflake where you can access it. So you can have a look through there. That's a good resource because it breaks it up into sections: calculus, integration, statistics. It's also good because they have short answer questions, long answer questions, and then it's got lots of exams in there as well. Okay, we've got all of the tests for you to look at. As far as previous exams go, you can see we've got a pretty comprehensive list here. I'm going to take you through the Google Drive and show you where you can find all this stuff. So if we go into exam, all right, you can see the first, there's lots of things going on here. The first folder we'll jump into is exams. And so this is where you're going to find all of these ones that I've got listed there, as well as solutions to them as well. Now, I'm not going to print too much for everyone, because in the past I've printed heaps of stuff and then I have like half the kids not do what I printed, so it's just a waste of paper. But anything you want me to print, I will print for you. All right, so you let me know what you want printed and I'll print it in a nice little booklet for you. So that's the exams and solutions in there. So the other thing to point out from here is the extra resources folder. And in here, what I've done is I've compiled booklets, mostly from Maths Studies exams. Okay, so I've pulled out the sort of relevant stuff, and you can see I've got here, for instance, natural logarithms and exponents. So these are questions involving the skills of ln and e that I've pulled. That skips the document that I've pulled out from the Maths Studies exams. So I've filtered them out, got solutions to them. So natural logs, there's some for stats, there's trig and unit circle, there's the graphing relationships, the conjecture booklet. So you've got both of those ones already. What else have we got in here? We've got this tuition centre resource. So one of the students a couple of years ago went to one of those holiday tutorials and they gave this to me. So if you're thinking about doing that, yeah, absolutely, go and do it. It's definitely, more maths is always going to help. So yeah, if you want to go to tuition centre or whatever you got planned, yeah, definitely recommend it. And then if I just jump back up a folder to where the exam folder is, we've got the Chief Assessor's report. So this is the comments that the moderators make with regards to the exam, and they tell you the sort of mistakes that students have made. Now we will read through that, we'll have a closer look at that when we go over the trial exam. So that's quite useful there as well. And one more thing is the subject outline, which is in the main folder. And what this is, might not be of interest to you, but Stage 2 method, subject outline. Okay, this is what, this describes what I have to teach. Okay, so it describes all of the content of the course. So you can have a read through of it if you're interested. But I assure you, we've ticked all the boxes, we've done all the stuff. So anyway, that's there if you're interested in having a read of that. Keeping me accountable. All right, so there's that. Okay, so then let's talk about the actual exam. So you get two double-sided A4 sheets of paper for your cheat sheet. Okay, so one double-sided and then another one double-sided. So it's 4 pages all up. You cannot bring 4 single pages. They have to be 2 double. So in the past, we've provided you guys with card. So it's like it's not cardboard, but it's a thicker piece of paper, so that when you write on one side, it doesn't pop through to the other side. So we'll do that again. I'll print them off. It'll have a nice grid on it for you to scribble on. So we'll provide everyone with 2 of those for you to do. The other thing is that the exam is divided up into 2 books. So if you have a look at the 2018 exam, if you open it up to exactly halfway in the middle, you see there's book 1 and there's book 2. So when you sit down to do the exam, you'll have book 1 and you'll have book 2, and you'll also have a formula sheet. So the formula sheet's on the first page. If you flick back, that's all the things that will be given to you. So you don't need to put that on your that stuff on your cheat sheet. So formula sheet provided 2 booklets. Now the reason they do 2 booklets is because when you're a marker, if you're a marker like I was last year, you mark just 1 booklet. So I was marking booklet 2, and I got 150 copies of booklet 2 to go through and mark. So it sort of simplifies the process, makes it a bit more fair and equitable. All right, so that's the exam. We talked about the formula sheet. As far as calculators go, you're allowed to take 2 calculators in. All right, and that can be useful. Like you've got your graphics calculator, and then if you have a scientific calculator for just doing simple operations, then you don't have to flick out, go to back to your run mat. You know, it can save a little bit of time. Unit circle's not provided in any way, so you're welcome to put it on your cheat sheet. Personally, I don't think it's necessary because I think you can do most of the calculations with your calculator, but it does require a bit of sort of knowledge around how it works. So, you know, either ask me or put it on there. And then the last dot point, you know, this is a strategy, is with these exam questions, okay, they are challenging. They're going to require you to think about them. And so I don't want you to, like, when you're doing one and you get stuck, oh, let's go look up the solution and then just copy it. That's just a waste of time. You really need to wrestle with these problems, really struggle, think about what are possible ways of solving it, and then in hindsight reflect on it. You want to facilitate that exam situation. You want to practice it heaps so you're very comfortable in it, and so then when it comes to the day, you've been doing it. You know, you're not going to be able to look at the solutions in the exam, are you? All right. So practice struggling with questions. All right. So that's pretty well all. Just flip over to the other side, and there's a bit of a checklist that you can work through. Let me know if you want any of that printed, and I'll get it done for you. But there's a pretty comprehensive list of stuff that we've gone through. All right, so today, open book. Do as much of the 2018 exam as you can. Have a bit of fun with it. And then tomorrow, chapter 1 and 2.